lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge podcast. My name's Ryan, and with me, as always, is my boy Dylan. We're here to talk our weekly reads, favorite books that we read this week.
Before we get started, let's give an honorable mention to Barbaric. I haven't read it yet, but Ryan is screaming to the heavens for it, and I wanted to read it, but you know.
It's a smaller publisher. Vault is still considered a small publisher. But yeah, Barbaric by Michael Morrissey and Drew Gooden, I think is the name. Let me make sure not that I'm going to tag them. Nathan Gooden. Nathan Gooden is the artist. Drew Gooden. But yeah, really good. They're probably not going to listen to this because I'm not going to tag them since we're not really talking about the book. But it was really good for anybody listening and watching. Definitely worth picking up. If you're a Conan fan, definitely should pick this book. I mean, even comes with a Barry Windsor Smith Conan #1 homage cover. So that's that. Pick it up. Then the three books that we did read together, Daredevil 31, United States of Captain America #1, and the Green Arrow 80th Anniversary. Those are our picks for the week. The Green Arrow one's a big boy, so it's kind of fitting that we only read 3 books because that's like the equivalent of 4, I think.
It was like 4 comics, dude.
A lot of reading. I mean, it's 100 fucking pages, so it may closer, about 4, maybe like 4.5 comics is the equivalent of how much content. But we'll start with Daredevil 31, I think.
Let's start Daredevil 31.
Kind of a catch-up book, you know what I mean? Like, we're in the middle of a run here. I think this is the first time we've talked about Daredevil, but we haven't actually read an issue, I don't think. Have we? No, I think we did.
I think we did. I think we did like 25.
Okay. We did
something in the 20s. I think we did not 25, like 24, 25, right around the mid 20s. We did one, I'll let you take the lead on this.
Okay, so Chip Zdarsky's writer, Mike Hawthorne is the penciler for this issue. Adriana Di Benedetto is the inker, and Marcio Menyes is the colorist. So anybody if you're not reading Daredevil, then I don't think that this is the time to jump on. You know what I mean? Like, you should definitely be reading. You have to read what came before. Not to say that you can't read.
I feel like you got to read all the way up. Like,
not to say that you can't enjoy it. If you have a basic knowledge of Daredevil and his cast of characters and his surrounding characters, you could enjoy. It's still an enjoyable book, but at the same time, like, we are in the middle of this like overall arc of what Zdarsky's telling, his story. Matt's in prison. Elektra has taken up the mantle of Daredevil and defending Hell's Kitchen, and then she's got
and owning Hell's Kitchen, literally owning.
Yes,
Hell's
and she's
Kitchen.
got her new sidekick. I think what's her name? Alice.
Yeah.
Yes, Alice. Her new quote unquote sidekick. I wouldn't necessarily say she is, but we're dealing with the aftermath of her killing someone, and it's just this run. I've often said has just been. In all Daredevil runs, usually starting with Frank Miller, that's how far back I'll date it because I've never really read this stuff before. I've read bits and pieces, but Daredevil always has a great creative team, always has a great writer, and Chip is just the latest in that line of great creators to work on Daredevil and what he's doing with Matt. While we saw Matt in prison during the beginning of Brubaker's run, it was for different reasons. It's not like the same. Like, Matt turned himself in because he lost control and accidentally killed someone. You know what I mean? So, like, it's that, again, the Catholic guilt, which always is a factor in all Daredevil stories. He's always putting that guilt on him. But what I'm really liking is Elektra kind of taking the lead because Elektra is one of my favorite characters, due in large part to Frank Miller, Bill Sienkiewicz, and like Elektra Assassin and like all that stuff, So it's cool to see her back at the forefront in a Daredevil book. She hasn't really been in that role of being a main character for a long time. So I like that. We got Mike Murdock. There's a lot going on, actually. We got Mike Murdock, who is now an actual guy. Used to be just Matt pretending to be Mike to, go undercover or whatever in the underworld. Now he's an actual guy. That was something Chip kind of brought into the book. Mike Hawthorne's art is fantastic. I love Marco Cicchetto's art, but Mike Hawthorne to me is just as good of an artist. It's just a little bit different of a style. But I love his choreography with his fight scenes are phenomenal.
Yes.
I just And I gotta say, like, I still like the Elektra aspect of the book. I'm really digging. I know a lot of people were like, they started specking on it because of first Elektra or Elektra Daredevil, however you want to call her. And I thought it was going to be a brief moment. And I don't know if her being in the story this long is because of how the sales increased or not. But it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel forced, and it's just really. I love seeing this version of Elektra, and
Yes.
that's I'm gonna pass it off to you now because like I'll let you kind of deal with more of the second half of the book and your feelings on
yeah.
this.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just gonna carry on the Electra talk. I like Electra's perspective on Matt's world, right? Because she was always from the outside looking in and very judgy and very condescending of how Matt lives his life and how like he's very self-punishing on himself and he does things, that would he's basically trying to clean up Hell's Kitchen, which is essentially an impossible task, right? And and Elektra is like, the only way you can be definite is if you just fucking kill it off, right? The only way you can make sure something ends is if you kill it off. And ever since she took up the mantle of Daredevil, she's sharpened down her size. Her size are blunt now. Like they like at the very worst, they're giving people concussions, broken bones, but like not killing. Elektra is the assassin. The Hand, she is the friggin'. At one point, she was the knife in the hand, right? And like now, it's like you get this crazy introspective of Elektra and who she's becoming. I think it's gonna be really crazy, like once Matt gets out and it's two Daredevils. Because I feel like she can carry on. I can feel like two Daredevils could work in Hell's Kitchen. You know what I mean? But whether or not that happens, that remains to be seen. Whether or not like whoever takes up writing duties for Daredevil will proceed with that. That remains to be seen. Like I don't even know when Chip Zdarsky's run is going to end. Like from where we are right now, issue 31. There's still a lot of story to tell.
It's funny. Hey, I'm going to interject real quick because I was just editing our episode where we talk about Stillwater, and you were like, "Yeah, he's got about 10 issues left." That's what you. Yeah. I literally was watching it right before we started talking this morning. So like, and it's funny. It's funny that you said that because I've been speculating. Like we also, when we recorded that, we're talking about how Nick Spencer's off Spider-Man, how we think Zdarsky should be on Spider-Man. They've already announced that starting with what is it going to be? Technically issue 876. It's going to be a team of writers. It's going to be coming out 3 times a month, and I have speculated that will only be until we hit what will be issue 900, and then we'll see a new writer. I did the math. That'll be about 8 months. That kind of almost falls in line with what you were saying, which is there's probably about 10 issues left, which I don't know necessarily that that's true. I would say maybe he'll write to issue 50.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm thinking.
But he could dovetail that into Spider-Man. I think he could still be the writer. That's just my opinion. I don't think that they're going to have a team of writers like they do with Brand New Day for a long period of time. I think that they're going to try to get to issue 900. Otherwise, why are you coming out 3 times a month? Ben Reilly's going to be Spider-Man. He's going to be the main Spider-Man in the book. You can't have him be the main Spider-Man forever. Peter Parker has to come back. So yeah, that I just had to throw that out there, that this whole theory, because like I just thought it was funny that you're like, yeah, he's got about 10 issues left.
Yeah. But now thinking about it, like where we are right now, 31 is an odd place to be at this where we are right now, because right now I think the end game is kind of coming into fruition, right? The end game for this whole Daredevil thing is coming into fruition, especially with Matt. Matt just survived another fucking stab wound, But now Matt has this perspective that, he's the fucking Daredevil. People should be afraid of him. Yeah. So people should be afraid of him, and that's why they're acting like this. They're afraid of him, and I feel like during his whole weird little self-loathing and self-guilt in prison, he kind of forgot that. But then something happened, something clicked, where he's reminded that I'm the fucking Daredevil. I can literally run through this whole fucking prison unscathed. And the person who fears him the most is the warden.
I know.
And
I
he
love
fucking
those
flexed, dude.
pages.
That was the best flex right there when he was like, I want you to scream for it. I want you to scream for help. Like, you know what?
You know what made it
uh,
the best was that fucking smile that he had right
yeah.
after. And he's like, I just want you to scream for it. Smiling, dude. Come on, man. This is like, I'm telling you, Zdarsky is just, he's just such a good writer. And
Yes, he
I
is.
know
Yes,
that
he
I
is.
keep saying it. I know that you keep saying it. I heard myself say it probably like 20 times in that video about how much I love Zdarsky, but he really just, every comic book he writes is like to me he's becoming what people how much people talked about Bendis. I feel like Zdarsky's getting to that level in the early 2000s. Zdarsky's getting to that level too, and he should be given kind of the top tier books. To me, Daredevil is a top tier book. Maybe
Oh
other
yeah,
people might
absolutely. No,
people
the
might
thing is,
disagree with that, but
no, I know. I mean, the Daredevil. Like we again, I'm reiterating the fact that Daredevil has had more good runs, more good creative teams than not, and this is also a testament to that. And I feel like if you can maintain an incredible freaking run of Daredevil, you can maintain an incredible run of anyone because a lot of the stuff in here are like a lot of the stuff in here technically at face value aren't new ideas. You know,
no.
Daredevil in prison, Daredevil Catholic guilt, Daredevil Electra. Like, you know, just all these ideas, they aren't like new ideas, but the way but if you can keep people interested and keep people talking about it, and like it is new, like it is fresh, then you're an incredible writer because
Yeah.
you are able to sit here and take what people already love about the character and reintroduce it in new, fresh ways. Dude, Chip Zdarsky did it. He's doing it. He's doing it. This is
He's
a seminal run in the Daredevil lore.
Yeah, he's giving us the familiar while also putting a twist on it.
Yeah.
It feels very familiar, but in a good way, and not in a way where I'm like, oh, he's just retreading old ground. Like, we have, the Kingpin stuff he's been doing throughout his run,
Oh, I
top
love it.
notch.
Oh,
It's
dude,
probably
I
just
freaking
as,
love Wilson right now. Wilson
yeah.
is fucking fantastic.
And you got Typhoid Mary back in the mix. You got like the return of Bullseye, which, by the way, the new design, dope as fuck. But what there was
I
even
just
that.
love how everybody's wearing pants now. Elektra's wearing pants. Daredevil's wearing pants. Bullseye's wearing pants. Not everybody's just wearing tighty whities anymore. Tights anymore. Everyone's wearing
It's more tactical. It makes
tactical.
more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'm really excited to see is like, why is Bullseye seeing this fucking angel floating above? Like,
Because
this
he's a
dude's
fucking
lost his
psychopath.
goddamn mind. He's lost his goddamn mind.
He is
I don't
losing
want
his
to like
goddamn mind.
spoil too much more. I mean, I know we've spent a lot of time talking about Daredevil, but it's so good, so worth your time. Eisner nominated. There's a
Yep.
reason it's Eisner nominated, and it's because of the amazing
I
work that he's
think
doing.
I think it's one of the few one of the few superhero stuff that's actually Eisner nominated. Superhero stuff in reference to like large.
It's directly nominated, right? It's not just that he's
Yeah,
nominated as writer. Like, you have
yeah,
James Tynion nominated as writer, and obviously Batman falls under that. But Superman Smashes the Klan is the only other
yeah.
a book that's superhero related that's nominated.
I can't wait to talk about that. By the way, we'll talk when we talk about that. That's going to be a good one.
I'm
But anyway,
glad. Yeah.
so good. But yeah, like go read this. Like it's is it 31 issues, and I smashed through 22 in like a week. So I mean, I also have no life. So maybe it'll take people 3 weeks, but
I could
yeah,
probably
no,
do it
just
in a night because I have no
yeah.
life. So no, I'm glad I got you on board with it, and I want people to know, like, it wasn't
Wait.
didn't what
It's nominated for Best Continuing Series, and it's the
okay.
only superhero story that's nominated for Best Continuing Series. Everything else that falls under that category is Bitterroot, Department of Truth, Gideon Falls, Stillwater, and Usagi Yojimbo. All heavy hitters. All
Yes.
heavy hitters.
Yes. So
Heavy fucking hitters, dude.
I'm telling you guys, everybody has to read this book. Phenomenal series. Go pick it up. Trades are available. On digital's your forte, Comixology. I guess. I don't want to give a shout out to digital because print's better. Daredevil was
Tomato,
dope.
tomato. Whatever.
Yeah, another dope book, another Marvel book, United
Yeah.
States of Captain America. Chris Cantwell is the writer.
I love Chris Cantwell.
Same.
I've yet to not enjoy a Chris Cantwell story. Iron Man is freaking awesome.
Yes.
Doctor Doom was fantastic. I'm a little sad that it was only like 11 issues.
I mean, I could have foreseen that happening. Villains don't usually carry a book that long. You know what I mean? Although Doom should have, because he's a more nuanced character. Like Joker shouldn't have a book that long. But then again, that one's focused on Commissioner Gordon. But that's neither here nor there. The Doom book was dope. Chris Cantwell's killing it with Iron Man. This book, Dale Eaglesham did the art for the main story. Josh Trujillo and Jan Bazaldua did the backup story. Matt Mill is a colorist. Letterer Joe Caramagna. I love Cap a lot.
I've grown to love Cap over the years, a lot more.
Yes, and this book, like from the first few pages, Cantwell just dude, he fucking captured what I love about Captain America, and just that inner monologue that he's having.
That inner monologue is fucking poetry.
It's so good.
That inner monologue is so good. Like I feel like Chris Cantwell has been holding a story like this in for a while. I feel like he's gonna show out in this one. Now, I feel like this is gonna be his.
I want Jason Aaron as the Cap writer, but if they give it to Cantwell, I'm cool with that too, because it's clear that he gets who Captain America is, the symbol of Captain America, and how important he is to the world within comics. I don't want to say to like us in the real world, but you know what I mean? Like he just gets it. And him talking about the American dream, and him talking about over the years how it's gotten tainted by people trying to utilize it for something else, for symbols of, trying to make it a symbol of hate almost, like, right? Like people are like taking it the wrong way. Like there's that page with that dude fucking yelling at somebody and he's wearing the Cap logo, or then when they're burning the Captain America costume and making him the target of their hate, right?
Or when they're using him as a target of a monetization,
right.
And and this is some great stuff. These few couple pages, like, god damn it, Chris Cantwell, for these few pages, if this is what if the first few pages is what we're gonna come to expect from Cap, from this Cap within this series, then I'm fucking here for it. I am here for it.
Yeah.
This is some class A shit.
And it's so much more than I thought it was going to be. Like, obviously, like, it's United States of Captain America. It's supposed to be like them going around, or like they're traveling the country, and there's other people that have been inspired by Cap, and there's other Captain Americas. Like, there's the Captain America of the railways who we meet, and, towards the end of this story, and just like learning how he's inspired so many other people to kind of the mantle, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like, they're not really Captain America, but they're makeshift Captain Americas, and
they're Captain America for a certain type of people, like,
right.
Like, and that's and that's crazy, because there's a Captain America for homeless people. Then that means there's a Captain America for like union workers or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what other Captain Americas there could be. So this is just like a whole new box of awesome that I can't wait to unpack.
Yes, I know. And like, it starts out like, as he's like having the inner monologue, he gets attacked in his home, right? By somebody wearing his costume. And we still don't know who it is, like why they're doing it. And then he's not even wearing his regular Cap costume. He's wearing the Commander Steve Rogers costume when he was running S.H.I.E.L.D. in 2012, when he was like in the Secret Avengers and stuff like that. And I actually really love that costume. I think it's actually pretty dope. Yeah, even though even though it doesn't keep the whole red, white, and blue theme. It's if there's another costume he's gonna wear, I prefer this one. Falcon, I love Falcon. I love their relationship, their friendship, and their like
their back and forth. Their back and forth is great.
Like, that's
I'm like 50 caps.
Yeah. So there's like 50 caps, because like you're 1 and I'm like 49.
49.
Like that, like just those moments of their friendship, like that just felt so real to me. You know what I mean? Like that felt like real, genuine friendship in those pages of them talking and seeing seeing them back together again. Like I would love a Captain America and Falcon book. Like I think that that's when they're their best because they're not looked at as sidekick, a sidekick to one another. No, they are partners. That's a true partnership. And Falcon has never been deemed or looked at as Cap's sidekick. He's been
No.
looked as his equal, as his partner. I mean, he eventually even took up the mantle of Captain America when, Steve was aged and, that whole storyline that Remender did. But yeah, I this it's crazy, dude. Like I really was I was blown away at how much I enjoyed this comic.
Yes.
I didn't think I was gonna dislike it, and I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll like it because Cantwell, he won me over with Iron Man and Doom, but dude, fuck, like not everybody can write a good Captain America story.
Yeah, the thing is, I feel like it's easy to make Captain America campy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's very easy to make Captain America campy because like all you got to do is give him the one-liners, and that's it. He's off top camp. Like, but this is Cap. This is Cap. This is Cap at its core. And like I said, I can't wait to unload and unbox the rest of this little treasure trove of Captain Americas. And I love how they keep that how Falcon and Cap and Steve literally call each other Cap to each other. Like like that last page, like let's do this, Cap. Sounds good, Cap.
Yeah, because they are both Captain Americans.
Yeah.
And I think that while I do love Bucky as Cap, I really loved Sam as Cap as well. And I like that they chose to go that route for the films in the MCU to give it to Sam because it made it in terms of in the comic books it made sense for it to be Bucky first. It did make sense, you know what I mean? But like in terms of the film, like it just Sam deserved that shield. You know what I mean? Like he deserved it. And to see this kid, Aaron Fisher, who's the Captain America of the Railways, that's what he's called, to see him like, oh man, 2 Captain Americas? Like he even though he's dressed as Falcon, like he calls him Captain America and he's excited. He's like, I got 2 for the price of 1? Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And like seeing that that effect that Captain America and what his symbolism means to him, and then how we're gonna learn that, and he tells him like, no, there's others. And like how much of an effect the symbol, not just the man, but the symbol means to other people and the inspiration that he's given to these people to kind of take up his ideals and to defend the weak or to defend whoever they're defending.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like I don't know how else to kind of put into words how much I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. And I don't know. I like the Green Arrow book a lot. But I think this might have been my favorite book of the week, to be honest with you.
I'll say this: like, if this continues on, like how well it's capturing Cap's voice, I feel like this could be a very memorable run in Cap's illustrious history.
Yeah.
Because again, this is where it's crazy because Dia is coming right now at this moment in time in our lives and our moment in history where we need heroes. We need heroes. And I'm not saying we need superheroes. We need regular people to stand up and fight, right? For whatever cause, whatever reason, whatever need be, there needs to be heroes to represent the voice of the voiceless. And this is hitting it off the mark. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, come on, Aaron Fisher, like, homosexual runaway who, takes to the railways and becomes his own Cap to defend the people that he was staying with. Mm-hmm. Because they needed that. Because Captain America, I mean, not saying that he didn't want to be there by choice, but he wasn't there because he's off doing fucking Captain America shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there needs to be this crazy inspiration that sends shockwaves throughout the country to inspire people to do the right thing and to have people follow in that direction. And I love this idea. I love the relevance of it. I love it, man. I like this is I'm calling it now. Like if we get a solid miniseries out of this, this is gonna be a friggin' big footprint. Yeah, a high point in the Captain America lore.
Yeah, I think that, and you get the backstory too on Aaron Fisher. There's the backup story by the other creative team that I mentioned, and I don't want to get too into that because I want, we gave our.
I want people to discover that.
Yeah, I want people to discover that. I wanted to give our overall thoughts on just the issue, but if this is the bridge between Ta-Nehisi Coates' run and whoever takes over Cap, this might be one of the best in between fill-in, quote unquote. I don't want to call it a fill-in because it's not in the Captain America it's not in the series, but my God, if this is what we get in between a run, it might be the best I've ever seen. Because usually when you get that in between stuff, it's not that great. I'll even say the Uncanny X-Men run that we had in between whatever came before, blue, yellow, gold, red, gray, black, whatever the color
red
things
was dope.
were.
Everything else was trash.
Okay. I'm just saying I'm lumping that era. Between that and then the Hickman era, like that was clearly fill-in, right? Like it was not the best X-Men by far. This is great. Fantastic. If you're a Cap fan, pick it up. If you're a Marvel fan, pick it up. If you haven't read Cap in a while, pick this up. Like this is
a solid jumping in point.
Solid jumping in point. It's just a really good story. Really good comics and filled with like there's the action. You got the perfect blend of action and then those small character moments. That's what I like in comic books. I like the perfect blend of that. I don't want to see a whole superhero issue where it's just talking. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see one where it's just all fighting either. I like that 50-50 blend, and this is what it is with this comic. Plus, like, how could you not go wrong? How could you go wrong with this beautiful fucking wraparound Alex Ross cover? I mean, I would get a poster of this and hang it on my wall. This is phenomenal. Yeah. It's some really solid Alex Ross. Pick it up. Awesome book. Let's jump into Green Arrow before we get we've been talking for half hour already.
And, before we fall into Americana.
Yeah, before we've even jumped into the 100-page issue that we're talking about. So first off, I love these anniversary issues. This has been my favorite so far.
Yes, I would have to agree.
And
this is
really dope covers. Of course, I had to go with the 80s Gary Frank cover because I love that costume with the Green Arrow. The Mike Grell costume with Shadow on the cover. I mean, the covers were great. This was the one I had to go with. So let me read the creative teams.
Because
real quick, because there's a lot.
Before you even start reading it, I just have to say, this is like the dream team of all dream teams. That's it. This is. I looked at the credits because I had no idea who was writing what, right? And
yeah, me either. I didn't look at the creative teams either, and I was like, I opened
and then
the
when
book.
I looked at it, I fucking shit a chicken. It was crazy.
So we have multiple. So I'll call it the creative teams now because I don't want to keep flipping back and forth. But we got Mariko Tamaki, Javier Rodriguez, and World Design on the first story. Then we got Tom Taylor, Nicola Scott, Annette Kwok, Clayton Cowles on the next one. Stephanie Phillips, Chris Mooneyham, Mike Spicer, Tom Napolitano on letters for the next one. Mike Grell, Laverne Kinzinski, Travis Lanham on the next one. Then we got Rom V, Christopher Mitten, Ivan Placencia, Aditya Bidikar, Brandon Thomas, Jorge Corona, Matthias Lopez, Steve Wands, Devin Grayson, Max Fiumara, Ariana Mayer, Phil Hester, Eddie Parks, Tris Mulville, Clem Robbins, Vida Ayala, Laura Braga, Adriana Lucas, Becca Carey, Benjamin Percy, Otto Schmidt, Nate Piekos, Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, Jordi Bolet, Rob Lay, and the final story is Larry O'Neill, Danny O'Neill's son, by the way, Jorge Forney, and David Stewart.
Main cover by Dan Mora.
Main cover by Dan Mora. the other covers, you got
Michael Cho,
Daniel Warren Johnson, Neil Adams, Derek Chu, Gary Frank, Brad Anderson, Howard Porter, Ivan Placencia, Jen Bartel, Simone DeMeo. I mean, the cover is great. Every story, great. We can get into each story if you want, or I mean, I don't know. We can talk about our favorites. It's up to you. I know that. I mean, that's a lot to kind of cover.
It is a lot to cover. Let's just Fuck, there was a lot of good stuff in here though.
We'll just give a few brief words on each one, and then if it's one that we really love, we'll kind of dive more into it. I really, the first one is really, it's a fun one, right? It's in the 40s. It's early Green Arrow, early Speedy. I love the art. Definitely had like Javier Rodriguez is a good pick to do something that's classic vibe to it. So I really, you see the arrow car. You got like all these trick arrows that he's got in there.
All the silly trick arrows too.
Yeah, just a really fun story. I wouldn't say it was one of my favorites, but it was a fun story. The next one
is a fun story to start off. Like, what I mean? Here is like a nice little flashback of the earliest Green Arrow you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Even right down to the character design of like some of the villains. Like, he's literally wearing a striped shirt like he just broke out of prison.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it was a fun story. It was a good way to kick this off. To kick off this anniversary issue with a fun back to the days of when it was just good old-fashioned superheroics, not really taking itself too seriously, not really dark and grim and gritty, just a fun, lighthearted superhero romp. The next story is one of my favorites. Ollie goes to Ted Grant, aka Wildcat from the JSA, and Dinah, Black Canary, basically set this up because she wants him to be able to protect himself, and he starts mocking as he comes in, and then who do you see walking out and thanking for the
goddamn Batman?
You got Batman. He's like, "Oh, how's the arrow car in the arrow cave?" And then he leaves. Tom Taylor needs to be given Green Arrow. I know he's writing Nightwing, and I love Nightwing, but I have long been clamoring for a Green Arrow book by Tom Taylor. That's who needs to get the book. I mean, he just gets Oliver Queen so well every time he's written him, and it hasn't been a lot, but it's great. And Nicola Scott too. Like, I love her art; she's phenomenal. This is the Black Canary costume that's my favorite. I love this era of Black Canary. I would say her modern one too is really good, but I love the back and forth between Ted Grant and Oliver Queen. We see the debut of the boxing glove arrow, which was really cool. That was probably my favorite aspect of it. And just like, and Wildcat is another one of my favorite characters, and he's trained so many people, at least in past continuities. I'm sure it's kind of come back, but he's trained so many fighters in the DCU, and it even touches on the fact that like he's got 9 lives. And he saves it. He's like, well, I lost 1, but thanks anyways.
I'm down to 6 now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really, one of my favorite stories. I really loved it.
Yeah, no, it was great. The art was phenomenal. I really like whenever there's an interaction with Ollie and he's just being Ollie, and then he gets kind of like put in check real quick.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, hey, like, quit being a little dick.
That's what I think most of the writers in here really capture, right? Except a couple of them, because like that's not really the story they're telling. But Oliver Queen is cocky and opinionated, and that's not a bad thing. Like, that's who he is, and that's kind of what I love about him. But also, he's one of the most genuine, caring superheroes in the DCU. Like, he's got his family of characters, and he does anything to protect them, and he always is fighting for the little guy. He's always and that's just at the core of who he is. That's something that has made him one of my favorite characters, and he is one of my favorite characters. That's why he's so prominent on my fucking arm for my DC Comics sleeve. That's why he's he's right on my forearm, like, because he's one of my favorites. And the Stephanie Phillips one, I liked it. It was, again, not one of my favorites, but a cool look at that era of Green Arrow when he was, the Justice League, and the Satellite era is what they kind of referred to it as. And kind of even that moment of him and Hawkman, because him and Hawkman, dude, for years, they always are fucking arguing, dude. That's like the core of their relationship, is we're gonna fucking fight, because they always have opposing views, And Another one of my favorites, the Mike Grell.
Oh, the Mike Grell one, like I didn't even know he was involved. I mean, I'm not surprised that he's involved, but I like when I turned to that page and I saw like his artwork, I was like, holy fuck, Mike Grell. I without even reading the credits, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I love who Ollie is in when Mike Grell is writing him. He is this older, seasoned veteran Green Arrow, down back to the basics, no trick arrows, just straight freaking fight in the shadows arrow. This is this is one of my favorite Green Arrows right here.
Yeah.
And the fact that Shadow comes back and makes a little return, he's taking on real problems. He's taking on human trafficking, and this I don't know. Like there's a lot of stories in here that might be my favorite. Like I figure that, but with talking to you, I can kind of figure out which one's my favorite. But right now, this is like easily top contender for like one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's why, like, so far, like for me it was the one with Wildcat, right?
Yeah.
And they're my favorites for different reasons. That one was my favorite because like of the banter, right? And then getting to see that moment of him doing the boxing glove arrow. But this one, Mike Grell is the reason that Green Arrow is one of my favorite characters. When I picked up Longbow Hunters, when I picked up that trade when I was probably, I think, like 12, I want to say 12, maybe 13. It was definitely middle school. It blew me away, dude. Like the art was phenomenal. And we did an episode on Longbow Hunters, a few months ago. And that's what made him one of my favorites. And then Kevin Smith, one of my favorite like people in the world, favorite film directors, favorite person, like one of my favorite people just in general. He wrote The Return of Oliver Queen. And then from there on, Green Arrow has consistently been one of my favorite characters. I've since gone back and read the entire Mike Grell run. I have all of the trades. And it was the best Green Arrow run because like that was one guy that maybe he didn't draw every issue, but he wrote that entire run. And that's like 9 trades worth, like over 60 issues. It's a really hefty run. I know they've collected one omnibus. I think they're doing a second one that's coming out later in the year. But having him come back, how do you not have him back? I was mad at first when I saw the list of cover artists and I didn't see Mike Grell. I was like, what the fuck? How do you not have him do a cover? And then like so that's why I got the 80s era cover. And then like I opened it and I was like, okay, all right.
That makes sense.
DC, you almost pissed me off, but you redeemed yourself because you had him do like, you got the double splash pages in the story. That really close up of Ollie with shooting the bow and arrow. Like this is the epitome of like great Green Arrow. You know what I mean? To me, I love like I said, I love that costume, that hood, that back to basics. Just definitely top 3 stories out of this book for me.
Now, this next one also is a contender for me because Ram V like literally freaking included freaking Longfellow poem into Green Arrow lore and fucking executed it so fucking beautifully. I even tweeted about it. I was like, I was basically, I read this fucking thing and I had to put the comic down for a minute because holy shit, that shit was beautiful. The comparison in the comparison in which Ram V makes a human and their and where they are headed in life with the Longfellow poem and the arrow, like so fucking beautiful. And then how it kind of treks, like as the poem continues, it kind of treks through and like gives you like glimpses into the different generations of Ollie and how he's evolved and become something more. Like it even touches on the Mike Grell stuff too. Like he literally copies some stuff word for word and verbatim, and then it's some beautiful stuff, and it ends in a very nice place, right? Like this. Ram V, man, fuck that fucking guy.
I'm telling you, he's like another writer. Guy. He's another writer that anything he writes, I'm gonna pick up now, just hands down. And I agree.
Ram
I think there's a poetry to his writing, and there's he's writing
like an elegance. There's an elegance.
Elegance.
To
there it
is.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. there's an elegance to it that I appreciate. Like you can tell that he really cares about what he writes. He really cares about the words that he uses. The word like what if he like the fact that he chose a Longfellow poem like really shows that he has an understanding of how powerful words are.
Yeah, and how about that
And
art too? The art was great, and the coloring.
oh yeah, dude.
So good. I mean, every creative team in here is just top notch. I'm so glad they put some really great talent on this book, while also putting old creative teams on stories of their era. That I think that was a huge win for DC the way they did that. You get the lessons in friendship with Oliver Queen too.
I love that. That was fantastic. I love that so much. It was literally like almost every generation, every and any generation's Green Arrow was in here.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. One of my favorites.
Fantastic.
One of my favorites was when Superman's like, I recognize your voice, but not the tone of it. He's like, can we skip the part where you tell me I used to be an a-hole? It's just these like little snapshots into his past and like phenomenal. Just a cool little like anecdote to add into the book.
Yeah, I like the interaction with Batman. I never said I was perfect. No one has.
Yeah.
No one has.
Yeah.
I like,
want to talk about the next story?
Yeah. So Connor Hawk. Connor Hawk isn't very familiar to. I'll let you take the lead on this one. But
okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Because Connor Hawk I'm not really too familiar.
Our boy Brandon Thomas wrote it, so you knew it was gonna be good.
Fucking fun, dude. It was
Jorge
fun.
Corona, the artist on Middle West. I mean, dude, like, I don't know if anybody from DC is listening, but hey, let's get this team on a goddamn Connor Hawk book, because this story was dope as fuck. I loved this story. First of all, Jorge Corona has done Marvel. He's done DC stuff before. I'm pretty sure he worked on the We Are Robin book from back in the day.
Damn.
Kari Randolph was a part of that project as well. But this one is just full of action. Such a cool story. Gets to the core of who Connor Hawk is in such a great way. But mostly, I love Brandon Thomas, but mostly it was really the art on here was just so good that it caught my eye. Really, just a cool Connor Hawk story. I didn't read a lot of the Connor Hawk stuff. I know about his character mostly because of like the crossovers that he did with like Flash and Green back in the 90s that I would get. I had some of the comics, but and then it's also the stuff that was done when Oliver Queen was brought back to life, because Connor Hawk took over the mantle after Ollie sacrificed himself in a plane and the plane blew up or whatever, and eventually he comes back, and Connor Hawk was part of the Arrow team for such a long time. He's been missing in comics, but thanks to the great writing of Joshua Williamson, he's back. He's in the Robin book. And I'm glad to see him kind of make his return in comics. But yeah, I think it was a fun story, full of action, and just really the core of who Connor Hawk is. And I love that he got a little bit of shine in the book.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a fun run. It definitely gave me like future state Gotham vibes. Right?
Okay.
Like just how like fast paced Connecticut was, how it was just like straight up freaking action and like I'm curious, like I want to know more, to be honest. Like this like I feel like Brandon I feel like Brandon Thomas can write anything. Like,
That's
and
true.
make it fun and make it magnetic. And this is no different. You know what I mean? It's just damn, Brandon Thomas. Fucking homie, bro. Like, just keep on doing it. Like Aquaman coming out, like it's gonna be good, cool. Yeah. Like
just don't stop writing excellence. Keep writing that book, please.
Keep writing that book. Keep writing that book until we have freaking a new generation of excellence where freaking we go beyond Spencer Dales. Like I would love that. I would love for it to be kind of like a Star Wars thing. And this is just me ranting about how much I love excellence again. But if you can build a whole universe around like around the Skywalker's family, like the Skywalker family, like doing the whole just romping through space and just having their problems deal out into a whole universe. You can do that with excellence, like you know what I mean. Like I feel like you can create such an epic tale excellence. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
This next one, Green Man and Autumn Sun. This one also is in the contendership for one of my favorites of stories of this book, because this is just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then the afterward, it's basically telling the story, it's telling Speedy's story. And everything, right down to from his first introduction into the world of Green Arrow to his one of the most things that people might know him for is his little drug addiction. That of course came with Denny O'Neil, and it was just some really freaking awesome stuff. And the fact that it really dives into him being raised by the Navajo.
Yeah.
And him being raised by a Navajo, and the like I said, like the afterward, it's kind of like a metaphor for what comics are, right? We're sharing stories so that parts of us, parts of who the writer is, parts of who we are as readers and what we hold, get passed on. It's important. Stories need to get passed on, and these are things that I'm about to become a father, right? And one of the things I'm most excited about is just sharing the things that I love with him. I'm gonna be able to do that. Like whether or not it catches, whether or not it sticks, that remains to be seen. But just a simple excitement that I get to share these things. Like I was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I just finished my watch through, right? And I'm just like, man, I can't wait to show my kid this. Or I can't wait to show my kids Star Wars. You know what I mean? I can't wait to show, I can't wait for all these things to happen. It's going to be just because of that, I feel like this is going to take it for me as, one of my favorite stories, right?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful story for sure.
Yeah, and then what's great at the end too, it's he says about his little girl, I'm never going to be as smart as her, but at least I can be honest with her. That's
it's powerful. I mean, and it kind of reminded me of stuff that Lauren says, because she doesn't we don't talk about her drug addiction, but she doesn't hide stuff from Riley. You know what I mean? She'll be honest, yeah, we've been to jail before. And I'm like, do we really have to tell her that? Is that really something that she needs to know? It's well, I don't need to hide it from her either.
I mean, don't dive into
we don't dive into the details, but we're honest with her, and we don't treat her we treat her like a kid, but we also don't try to hide stuff from her.
You don't coddle. We
don't coddle her, exactly. So that kind of moment with Roy and Leon just really it resonated with me too, and even hearing you talk about it kind of solidified it as one of my favorites as well. And beautiful story, beautiful art. Devin Grayson, who has not really been writing for DC for a long time, but she used to write a lot of stuff for DC. She was on Nightwing and other really awesome stories, and she was always kind of one of the writers that I really enjoyed reading from. And I'm glad to see her kind of make a return into the Green Arrow book. She wrote Titans for a while, where she kind of wrote Roy, so it makes sense for her to write a Roy story. The next story, our boy Phil Hester. Come on, dude.
Another one.
Right?
There's so many good ones. And
I know
one was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Here, you go. Look at you. Your face is about to explode. Go ahead.
My face is about to explode. Fucking Phil Hester. Yes. My God. Yes. Dude. This guy can draw anything, and I would fucking love it. There's just this. Okay. Obviously, the art is phenomenal. I'm just gonna skip ahead of that because I ooze over Phil Hester. Easy. Yeah. Fucking fanboy. I would fanboy the shit out of him if he was to show up at LA Comic Con. You want to know what's gonna get me to LA Comic Con, Ryan? Phil Hester.
I'll message him. And I'll ask him. I'll be like, look, you are gonna keep me from going to a convention with my friend if you don't show up. So.
Yeah. But anyway. Okay. Well, okay. This is cool. Because at first I didn't know what was going on. I was very thrown off by what exactly was happening. Especially when Hal showed up, I was like, "The fuck, what is happening right now?" And
Count
then
Vertigo, Onomatopoeia,
yeah,
everything's just like showing up. Yeah.
onomatopoeia. Yeah, everybody's showing up. And then then friggin' Dinah and the Arrow family start showing
Yep.
up. Like, what is happening? And then then it turns into a small moment. All the action gets stripped away.
Yeah.
And it just becomes dialogue between two characters. Like then Ollie realizes what's happening. I don't realize it at the time, but once he starts talking, you've been in my thoughts. You've obviously pulled from my thoughts and pulled from my memories all these things, and then da 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 da. And then earlier on earlier on in the story, they talk about a little girl who can manipulate things for people to have things kind of go her way, right? And then this is one of the best things ever because I feel like Phil Hester has an understanding of who Green Arrow is as a character.
Yeah.
And it's not always all about the action. And did you notice okay, you know some of the costume changes? Oh wait, the costume doesn't change. I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it's beautiful. This is also like for as opinionated and as mouthy as Oliver can be. When it comes to like talking to regular people, he's no longer Oliver Queen, multi-billionaire. He's not Green Arrow, member of the Justice League. He is just a person talking to another person. And it's like a light switch how he does it. And it's fantastic and it's well executed. And what I love about Phil Hester's work is like when he draws superheroes, like they're very superhero, very very chiseled jaws, very defined features, very straight, straight and narrow. But like there's a moment here where he reveals to Star his name and he takes off the mask and it's a set of very compassionate eyes. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And that's like one of my favorite moments in this book. And my friends call me Ollie. Right. And it's just fucking beautiful. Fucking Phil Hester, fucking.
I know.
Man.
I know.
Fucking man.
I know. The next story is by Vita Ayala, Lauren Braga. This is after Ollie and Dinah got married, because for a brief moment, they were married in the DCU, and they even had a joint title. It was Green Arrow and Black Canary. I have to be honest, that those were my dark years. I did not read those, so I missed out on some of those. But anytime you give me pages with Dinah and Ollie, I adore them. Now
I love them. I love their relationship. Like I stand their relationship so hard because it's like
they're the perfect balance.
They're perfect for each other, and
yes.
it's not like lust driven and like forbidden love driven, kind of like Bruce and Selena, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's not like Lois and Clark. It's like this relationship only works because they are who they are. They're both superheroes. They both have sass, mm-hmm. And they're so down for each other. It's ridiculous. Like,
oh yeah.
I love it. I love their relationship. I love who they are and who they become together. And I love. I've always loved how Ollie always calls Dinah Pretty Bird.
Yes,
hey, Pretty Bird.
I know.
I love that.
I know. When they brought back the relationship after Rebirth, and that first time I read him say Pretty Bird to Dinah, I was like, yes, DC's back. It's just such
an iconic nickname that like it just brings back like so many feels for people who've read the characters. Whether it be casual fans like myself or whether it be diehard hardcores like you. Like everyone knows the significance of Pretty Bird.
Yeah. And I think that like Vita really captured the relationship perfect with their pages. And like
Vita's killing it.
Yeah.
Vita Ayala is fucking killing it. I expect very wonderful things from them. Like it's gonna be like they are gonna be like this is just absolutely just gonna kill it. Like
I know.
Vita.
I know. Get Ollie captured. Dinah goes to save him. Deathstroke is the kidnapper. I just, the double page spread of Dinah with scream. Just a great story. I don't want to get too much more into like the nitty gritty of like what takes place, but it was a great story. The next one, my boy Ben Percy, who's been killing it with Wolverine and X-Force over at Marvel.
Ben Percy too.
This run, I don't know if you read any of it, but I highly recommend you get the trades if you can. Otto Schmidt on art. This was another. And I don't know why he was off the book when he was taken off. I don't know how it all went down, but I really would have loved even like another year, maybe 2 years of his story, because he brought back Dinah into the book. He brought back the Arrow family, Diggle from the Arrow show that they had introduced into the DCU. He was back in the storyline, and he had his own kind of headquarters in Mount Rainier, like the national forest, dude, which was really dope, like a tree house type thing. It was just really cool. Amiko, his sister that was introduced in Lumire's run, was a part of it too, and like getting to go back into this era, which wasn't even that old, that was 2016 to 2018, but it was another high water mark in terms of like Green Arrow storytelling. Ben Percy got Ollie down perfectly, and this is one of my favorite stories too.
Yeah, same. What I noticed about Ben Percy, like he is very in tune with nature, like even down to like his posts on like on Instagram, like and like even with his understanding of Wolverine. My first experience with Ben Percy was the live story of the Long Night by the Wolverine story. Really well done. Oh, dude, that's the one. It takes place in Alaska, like it's great. And then this taking place in Rainier National Forest, and then Wolverine just being the ultimate mountain man within itself. Like this is like he really has this like very spiritual connection with nature, and it resonates through his writing, and I love it. And I feel like if you're gonna put anybody in the woods, you put Ollie in the woods. Like,
I mean, and just like the writing of this story, art is phenomenal, but like he captures like what is important about Oliver Queen isn't just him, the man. It's his family, and he says Green Arrow isn't one man. We're a family. We're a forest. We're a quiver, and together. I mean, come on, dude. Come on, Ben Percy. Fuck. Like, it's so good. Like, I want to go back and read it. I haven't read it since it first came out, but it's definitely something that I want to revisit. And this just reminded me what I loved so much about that run. Then
that's basically the tone of this whole book. It's basically reminds you what you love about Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Whether like I said, whether you're a casual fan, whether you're a hardcore fan, like these are the things that make you love Green Arrow.
Yeah, and then you get the last Green Arrow story by one of the best Green Arrow teams in the history. One of the best teams
I still
need to read.
I still need to read Lemire's Green Arrow run. Like I've been kind of putting it off and saving it for like, honestly, I'm putting it off for when the baby's born so I can sit down and like read it.
Okay, we have to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It is so good. Definitely, I can breeze through it. So whenever you start it, you just message me that you started it, and we'll definitely talk about it, because this kind of leans into like, this is like the ending of what that run was, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, Green Arrow, like from the opening pages of him going back to the island, the boat's name is Dinah, which I loved, and this is old man Ollie, and just first of all, Andrea Sorrentino's art is it's not for everybody, I guess, because there's somebody that we're friends with on it. I don't want to call her name out. I don't want to call her name out.
People of no taste.
But the art, to me, I think how he composes a page, his structure of the page, the way the coloring matched with the art. I mean, it's just A-list, God tier kind of art. Like, this dude is just on another level that other people just cannot match. And, I think it's cool that he's, this is the end and he's going back to the beginning. right? This is where Green Arrow was born. He gets rid of everything. All his clothes. He makes his own bow and arrow again. And that glowing arrow that you see at the end is I can't spoil it. So
don't
but this
spoil
is
it because
heavily
like I
tied
have
in.
no idea what's
This
going
is
on.
heavily tied into the run, and that's all I'll say. For anybody listening and watching, if you read the run, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read the run, go fix that problem right now. Go pick that run up. There's one collection that has it all. There's a deluxe edition hardcover, or there is a DC Essentials graphic novel that it's called War of the Clans, and it's phenomenal. That final page, I'm not going to ruin it. It's beautiful.
I'm gonna make that chili, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We got that chili recipe because Oliver Queen's known for his spicy chili. Let me know how yours comes out. I'm gonna make it too.
I like because all this stuff is pretty easy. Like it's the spices that like California chili powder, Gebhardt chili powder, kidney beans, whatever. Yeah, but yeah, it's the Gebhardt. I never thought of putting Gebhardts, but yeah, I'm gonna try this shit.
Yeah, and I know that we've been going really long, but it's like I didn't want to ignore any of these stories because they were all so good. Usually, if we're reading a book this much with this many stories, maybe I'll gloss over stuff and not even talk about it really. But I had to. We had to with this book, and especially this last story. We have the great Denny O'Neil, the late great Denny O'Neil, who we lost. I think it was last year. Maybe it's been almost 2 years. I think it's only been a year. But he created one of the most seminal Green Arrow stories, one of the most seminal runs in comic books in general, with his partner Neil Adams, with the Green Lantern Green Arrow run, the Hard Traveling Heroes.
No, it was last year. It was last year.
Okay, it's a classic run, and not just for DC, not just for Green Arrow, but in comics in general. And it resonated with people. It still resonates. It's timeless because like the topics that he hits on in there are still prevalent today with race, politics, all that kind of stuff. And he would have been on this book. You know what I mean? He would have written a story if he was still here. And to have his son, a wordless story, but to have him capture moments throughout Denny O'Neil's life, because that is the little boy you see from the beginning, and you see snapshots, and you see him reading comics, writing comics, and having those little like thought balloons, but the thought balloons aren't words, they're images of what he's seeing or what he's like experiencing in life. And just a lot of beautiful moments. And then to have that the only words in here is Denny O'Neil in the hospital bed as he's like passing away, and having the image fade, and then just good night pops. Like, that was beautiful to me. And to see all the characters that he's written over the years, I talked about The Question being one of my favorite characters. It's Denny O'Neil. Denny O'Neil with Dennis Cowan, so
yeah,
just a beautiful comic. I think that this is by far the best 80th anniversary issue, best anniversary issue. And I love Flash, but better than Flash, better than fucking Wonder Woman, better than Batman, better than Superman, better than Robin, better than Joker, better than Catwoman. All of those characters, I love those characters. And I'm not saying I love Green Arrow more than them, but this was the best one.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
This is easily 100%. I 100% agree. Like at no moment was I like, oh, this was a filler. At no moment was I like, oh, they could have done without this. Like, everybody was an integral part. Like, everybody freaking did their job. Everybody executed their job. And this is a fantastic tribute to a person. Like, this was more. This is definitely a tribute to a character, but also to a fantastic tribute to one of the greatest creators in comics history.
Agreed. Definitely.
And and like I said, a lot of the themes here is basically family, right? And like I said, I can't wait to share Green Arrow with my son.
Yeah.
I can't, like, this is some fantastic stuff. I'm like, I guess I'm getting a little mushy because, like, he's due in September. He's coming up. So it's like,
dude, I know. I told you that certain stories that you're going to read are going to just hit you in a different way. And then once he's born, like Saga, if you read that after being a dad, it's going to have a different effect on you.
It's gonna wreck me. That's why like I paused my read through. Like I'm almost done. I'm like 2 trades away from finishing. But I put that on pause because like when I found out that my wife's pregnant, I was like this is gonna wreck me. But yeah, like and like I said, these stories, these are moments in time like that I can't wait to share. Like these and comic books. Bro. This is my love for it is changing now because now it's like something else. It's not just for me anymore. It's not like my little thing. It's like it could very well possibly be something for my kid too.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a beautiful thing. I love comic books and I love talking with you, and you always like make me realize stuff after the fact. Like when we going over the books with you always makes me like kind of like almost fall in love with the stories again, because like talking about it and hearing your perspective, it's just and it's fun to be able to share that with your kid, dude, for sure. But yeah, check out all these books, all of them good. I know this has been a long one. Let's real quick, we'll talk about what we're going to read next week. Obviously, X-Men #1. We got to talk about that. Jerry Duggan's run is starting. I thought about maybe the Hellboy book. There's a Hellboy one-shot. I don't know if you're down to read that.
I'm always down for Hellboy.
Okay. Oh, it's Mamo. I don't know if you want to look at the cover. Either that or we could do a World War She-Hulk. I know you like She-Hulk.
Let's fucking do World War She-Hulk.
Okay, so we're doing Mamo. We're doing X-Men #1. We're doing Hellboy and the BPRD and Avengers 46.
Yeah.
And if you're not already, that's all we got for today. And if you're not already following us, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Comic Lounge. Follow Dylan at The Dillbot on Instagram. Dillbot is dope on Twitter. Like, follow, subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you're notified every time a new video goes up. Don't forget to go to TeePublic, search The Comic Lounge, and you can get shirts, hoodies, mugs, whatever the fuck you want with the logo on it, if that's your thing. And on that note, we're out.
Later, buds.